President Bola Tinubu has joined Nigerians across the world to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the annulment of June 12, 1993 presidential election and the 5th anniversary of Democracy Day. Tinubu sent a message to people who refused to accept defeat at the election, saying they do not deserve a victory in the future polls. In a broadcast this morning, Tinubu eulogized the presumed winner of June 12, 1993 elections, the late Chief MKO Abiola, and other matters of the struggle that followed by saying Abiola paid the supreme price for democracy to survive.
The fierce opposition to the annulment of June 12, 1993 presidential election and unrelenting pro-democracy onslaught it unleashed was the equivalent of the battle against colonial rule by our founding fathers that resulted in the gaining of Nigerian independence in 1960. Just like the anti-colonial movement, the pro-democracy June 12 vanguard demonstrated once again the enduring validity of the 19th century historian Arnold Toynbee's eternal postulation that civilization and society experience progress as they are forced to respond to challenges posed by the environment. The unjust annulment of a widely acknowledged free and fair election was a challenge that elicited resistance by a resurgent civil society, leading ultimately to the attainment of our second independence, as exemplified by the return of democratic governance in 1999. Fellow compatriots, we celebrate a day that has remained a watershed in our nation's history, not just today, but for every June 12, for the endless future that our beloved country shall exist and work stronger and stronger. Generation of Nigerians will always remember themselves that the democracy that is steadily going to become the defining essence of our polity was not gifted to us on a silver platter. We can easily recall the sacrifice and the martyrdom of Chief MKO Abiola, the custodian of the sacred mandate that was so cruelly annulled. He sacrificed his life in unyielding patriotic defense of the ideals of democracy, as symbolized in his choice by his fellow countrymen and women as their duly elected president. There was an easier choice for him. It was to forgo the justice of his cause and opt for the path of ease and capitulation in the face of the tyranny of power. To his eternal credit and immortal glory, Abiola said no. He demonstrated the time-tested eternal truth that there are certain ideals and principles that are far more valuable than life itself. Every day on this day, down the ages, we will recall the several heroes of democracy, such as Kudirat Abiola, wife of Chief Abiola, who was brutally murdered while in the trenches fighting on the side of the people. We remember Pat Alfred Rewani, one of the heroes of our independence struggle, and Major General Shehu Musaya Adua, retired, who was silenced by the military junta while in pursuit of democracy. They gave their yesterday for the liberty that is ours today.
All right, a lot to talk about. Aya?
Yes. Hello. Yeah. Happy Democracy Day, Nigerians. The first Democracy Day speech made by the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and he addressed a number of things, obviously highlighting the sacrifices of heroes of democracy's past. I particularly am grateful that even though today usually spotlights the face or the symbol of democracy of June 12 elections, Basharun Moshood Kashimawo Abiola, GCFR, he also used the opportunity to highlight others who lost their lives in the course of this battle. We had his wife, Alhaja Kudirat Abiola. We have Pa Alfred Urani, as he mentioned. We have Major General Shehu Yaradua, and a few others like that. And I think it's important on a day like this to remember everyone who paid the ultimate sacrifice towards the democracy that we enjoy today. And in a recent interview by Mr. Jamiu Abiola, whom we will be speaking to in a few minutes, he had said that he felt a bit sad that his mother wasn't as recognized because she also was a victim of the struggle to democracy. So that was a good part where he highlighted that. Also, speaking to a number of things as well, he spoke about, he used the opportunity to reflect again on the recently conducted elections, and also talked about his decision to remove fuel subsidy and how it was a move towards anti-poverty, which was one of the mandate or a key mandate of Chief Abiola. He also paid tribute to people who perhaps lost it. I don't know if it's not tribute, but moving on, I know that when we speak to Mr. Abiola, it would be great to get his perspective on how his family feel on a day like this.
Sabati?
Well, the speech centered around the sacrifice and martyrdom of Chief MKO Abiola, who won the 1993 June 12 election, but that election was annulled. He won with about 58.36% of total votes cast. In that election, turnout was low, it was 35%. But what was remarkable about it was that even before the counting was stopped, because the counting began on June 14, by June 14, it was clear that MKO Abiola was leading with more than 4.3 million of the votes cast. His rival, Bashir Tova, was leading by just about 2.1. So he had doubled the votes. And then the military came with this idea, they annulled it. And that was an election that was considered the freest and fairest ever in the history of Nigeria. In fact, Abiola not only won in all the southwestern states, 5 of the 7 eastern states, 3 of the states in the central middle belt, and also 7 out of 9 states in the north. It was clearly in the lead, but then they annulled it. And that led Nigeria through a terrible process, at the end of which Nigeria was turned into a pariah state by the international community, the Commonwealth and others. And we traveled through all of that crisis up to 1999 when we returned to civilian rule. The president made a good point about the martyrdom of MKO Abiola to remind us of, okay, how have you fared with that sacrifice and martyrdom? What has happened since that experience? And have we learned any lessons? And then he identified the heroes. It's a long list of heroes. He mentioned just about 2. Others include Chief Ibrahim Adesanya. Others include, as he mentioned, Alfred Urani, Ndubuisi Kanu, Dan Suleiman. So the struggle for a better Nigeria, was a pan-Nigeria struggle from the south to all parts of the north. But what have we done with it? Have we learned any lesson? How have the elections that we have conducted since then, how have those elections been organized? So this is a challenge that we face in this country. But the president also made a point that Nigerians should make more sacrifice and that he will reward Nigerians with good governance. One point that was not stressed was that this June 12th Democracy Day was declared so by President Muhammadu Buhari, and that will probably be remembered as one of the key things that President Muhammadu Buhari left behind as legacy, the recognition of the importance of democracy. And then, of course, that snide remark about those who do not want to accept defeat, those who are in the court and who may not enjoy the joy of victory if they cannot accept defeat. I thought that was a coded message.
All right, because we do not have time, I'll just ask a question this morning. The national anthem says, "The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain." When you look at our democracy today, was it worth Abiola dying for?